Speaking of Tupac, Death Row Records. I'm
Yeah.
skipping some of these. Yeah, there's one that I flipped around. So, Suge Knight claims Snoop Dogg fraudulently purchased Death Row Records. Of course, he's gonna say something like that. So let's see. Suge Knight Suge Knight has cast doubt on the legitimacy of Snoop Dogg's Death Row Records ownership, claiming he fraudulently purchased the iconic gangsta rap label. The Long Beach rapper became the new owner of Death Row in February 2022 after acquiring the label with whom he kickstarted his career in the early 90s. But in an interview with TMZ from behind bars, co-founder and former CEO of the label, Suge Knight, questioned the legality of the deal. Speaking from CA State Penitentiary, where he served 28 years in prison for voluntary manslaughter, Suge claimed his ex-business partner, Harry O. Harris, committed bankruptcy fraud to get the company from him. While he doesn't have an issue with Snoop Dogg owning the label, Knight believes his former signee was only able to acquire the label due to it being forfeited when a lawyer failed to attend court, with a default judgment in 2013 transferring it to the possession of MNRK. Suge said the bankruptcy proceeding was a violation of the law and that Death Row will never truly be the same without him in charge. So he's not mad at Snoop, but as TMZ pointed out, however, Snoop Dogg wasn't actually involved with the bankruptcy case, as his purchase came almost a decade later in 2022. Well, if he do, I doubt that, Knight said when asked about Snoop being the top dog at Death Row. First of all, you got to look at it like this. I am Death Row, so I'm quite sure when it's said and done, Tupac's All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli will definitely come back to me and the rest of the stuff. But one problem with that is Snoop has a partner, which is Michael Harris. They committed fraud. They bankruptcy fraud. I didn't lose my company by doing anything wrong. They went in and the lawyer didn't show up and they got default judgment. I settled the judgment. They turned around and said I didn't settle the judgment, but they committed bankruptcy fraud, which we found out for sure last week when they filed for bankruptcy in 95. They said it didn't have anything to do with Death Row. You can't commit bankruptcy fraud and settle and do those types of things. It's called illegal. It's a crime. You can't take the person who committed the worst crime in the century, taking Death Row from black people and try to give it to white people and think he's going to grab Snoop and they're going to get it back. It doesn't work like that. Interesting.
Seems like he's just a little upset about it.
I mean, Snoop owns it. I'm sure if Snoop talks to him, but I mean, what is Suge Knight? Nobody owes Suge Knight anything anymore at this point. So,
yeah, I mean, it's
like I said, Suge Knight could have been one of the most successful music executives of all time. You have Pac, you have Snoop, you have Dre, which would have eventually led to Eminem potentially, which would have eventually led to 50, Game, Kendrick, so on and so forth.
Yeah. I always think about how that would have turned out.
Yeah, just Suge Knight forced Tupac to be too much of a gangster.
He would have been a billionaire.
Easily, yeah. No. Dude, at the time, he was like generating, I don't even know how much fucking money.
Yeah, it's too much.
Imagine at that time, with inflation right now, he's probably generating $300-400 million at the time. Inflation-wise, if you add up inflation. They were doing $100 million a year probably easily.
Been.
But yeah, you can't go up, beat up people, threaten people, cause all these problems, have Tupac be a gangster rapper but then be an actor. It's not how shit goes, man. I think Tupac got finessed in a situation where he was locked up. Suge Knight came and said, hey, I'll help you, but come with me. And then he kind of tricked him. And Pac got, because you got to remember, Pac was young, man. 23 years old is impressionable. That's not.
Yeah.
And Pac was a forward thinker. That guy used to think like an old person.
He was ahead of his time.
But he got finessed in that, man.
Yeah.
He got tricked, and that's what I mean. Is even young people, even as smart as they can be, they can get tricked in a situation. I think Pac got tricked into the whole Death Row thing.
Sure did.
And got convinced he was a gangsta rapper, and then all this shit happened. Shootings, this, that, West Coast, East Coast, and there you go. I do want to do Tupac versus Biggie, who really won in the future, which is going to be the longest documentary probably ever.
It's going to be the most.
Yeah, that's going to be one that's going to. I don't know. That's going to take me probably a year, like Get Rich documentary.
Damn.
Yeah, it's probably going to take a year. But I'm going to do this without like flying to everybody. That's going to cost way too much time and money. Like if I had the money to do that, I would do that. But even that is like just too much. Like I'm just going to gather all the information, everything from everybody's side of the story, from the police to this, to this, to this, and just compile it into one.
I'm getting a headache. Thinking
Yeah,
about it.
that's
a
gonna
lot of
take
work.
so much books, so much interviews, DVDs, this, that. It's gonna take ages, man. But I'm gonna do it eventually.
Good luck, sir.
I gotta do it eventually. I'm the only one that I think could do it at that capacity at that rate. So yeah, we'll be on the
Hell yeah.
lookout. Because everybody asked me to do that. Oh, do Tupac versus Biggie. I'm like, you guys don't know how hard that's gonna be. Plus, a lot of people have done that beef. Like a lot of documentaries about that, a lot of stories about it. So if I do it, I gotta like do something totally different.
Right.
It's not been done before. So